Randy, you just finished up your talk a little while ago. Tell us about it a little bit in summary.
Well, I was focusing on Romans 8:28, a verse that we all know, that all things work together for good to those who love God. But a verse which in many ways I think we don't believe. And I think the big test of it is if you take the worst thing that has ever happened to you, or that has ever happened to anyone that you know, or has ever happened to anyone you don't know, and if that person is God's child, will that really ultimately be used for good in their life? Not just will God kind of make the best of a bad situation and kind of do damage control, but in a Genesis 50:20 sort of way. Genesis 50:20 being sort of the Romans 8:28 of the Old Testament, Joseph speaking to his brothers. You intended it for evil, but God intended it for good, to save many lives. And one of the things that I said was just take a sheet of paper, do this, I've done it, write down at the top all the worst things that have ever happened to you, and then, fold it, turn it over, write down at the bottom all the best things that have ever happened to you. The longer you live, the more you will see that many of the worst things directly or indirectly resulted in many of the best things. So God gives us just a sneak preview, even in this life, sometimes, in retrospect, that we can see God at work and accomplishing the truth of Romans 8:28. Why do we call Good Friday Good Friday? Why don't we call it Bad Friday? And the truth is because it's in retrospect. We see from the worst thing that ever happened in human history, the best that will ever happen in all eternity came out of that same thing. Saw it in Joseph's life, Job's life, and God give us faith that we might see it and believe it in our lives even when we don't yet see it.